what I'm going to show you is I'm going to cook a pizza real quick because it's a Neapolitan pizza, so it takes 60 to 75 seconds maximum. And what we have here is our pizza oven. And this pizza oven, it can get up to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, that to me is too high for a Neapolitan pizza. What I do is I like to set our oven to 850 degrees Fahrenheit. So for us to get to that temperature with a wood-fired oven, it takes a long time. Fortunately, this is not a wood-fired oven. What this is a gas-fired oven. So this is not traditional at all, but that's okay. And why is that okay? It's because wood-fired ovens, they're not the best. And it sounds a little bit like blasphemy when it comes to Neapolitan pizza, but the truth is that when you have a gas-fired oven, you're going to have a consistent temperature. You have reliable heat source, meaning it's going to be consistent throughout your entire production or your entire service. And it's a lot easier than feeding it wood and then hoping that you're reaching the right temperature. That takes many years of practice to get good at it and to be able to properly do. And not to mention, it's a lot cleaner to burn gas. Beyond that, it's a lot cleaner literally because you don't have all of the soot on your oven floor that you have to be mopping away and cleaning up all the time. So gas is a lot better, and that's the whole idea behind what we do here is finding ways to make better food. We're not bound by any sort of tradition, so for us, a wood-fired oven doesn't really hold any water, so to speak, and literally, because it's not the best thing to do. It's also the same reason why we drove cars to work and we didn't ride here on a horse. Right? I mean, one is infinitely better than the other at transportation, where in a pizza oven, gas is like the car, wood is like the horse. There's just no comparison whatsoever. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to cook a quick pizza. So if one of you can hold the cameras over here. There we go. Can you see? So we're going to use basically a little bit of durum flour. So this is our pizza dough. So this dough is a recipe that we developed here that's going to be in our new book. I can't give away too much of it, but it really is, to me, it's one of the best doughs ever for making Neapolitan pizza dough. Obviously, I would say that because I work here, but the method that we developed for it is going to create this beautiful pizza that is just, it's delicious, but it's easy to work with, and it's very production friendly. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to flatten our dough. We always use this part of our hands. We're not playing the piano. We're not trying to destroy the dough. We're trying to gently coerce it into extending, right? So we press down on our dough, we spin it. We don't want to use too much flour on the table either because that's flour that we need to get rid of before it goes in the oven. So once I have this shape, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch it, right? So in Naples, they do what is called the Neapolitan slap, which is basically they slap it on their hand as they're stretching it. You can do that, or you can also stretch it like this, which is with the back of your hands, right? So we don't want to tear it apart. We just want to make sure that we're gently opening the dough and keeping it at a nice, even thickness, okay? So then once we're at about 9 to 10 inches, what we're going to do is we're going to put our dough down. And we're going to use our tomato sauce. So our tomato sauce, this is a Neapolitan tomato sauce. You can see how liquid it is, right? That's very important. We want to have a sauce that is going to be very fluid so that when it bakes, it doesn't burn. If we use a thicker sauce, like a New York style sauce, you're going to have scorch marks on the sauce because there's too little water in it to evaporate. When you're going in 850 degrees, that's very little time for it to bake, but it's also super hot. And we're going to have, with this wet sauce, we're going to have enough evaporation that the resulting sauce is going to be nice and saucy, if you will. It's not going to have any burn marks on it, okay? So we put some of it on the dough. We spread it. I like to use this rubber spatula. You can see this rubber spatula is kind of concave like this because it helps me spread the sauce out evenly. And we're going to use fresh basil. Now, I like to put fresh basil directly on the sauce. Some people like to put it on top of the cheese like as a topping, but the problem I have with that is that it gets really dark. It almost burns it, and I don't really like the taste of burnt basil. I prefer to have it with that fresh taste to it. So that's why we put it right on the sauce. And then we're going to put the cheese on top. Cheese is fior di latte or fresh mozzarella. You can use mozzarella bufala if you want. But what I would highly suggest is cutting it into small pieces, but also draining it overnight. This draining, what it's going to do is help absorb some of the moisture, but it also helps that when I bake it, I'm not going to have all of this cheese serum sitting on top of the pizza. It's going to make it soupy. So if I air dry it in refrigeration overnight, it's going to melt just enough and not have all of this water seeping out of it. Okay, so I actually put some of it on top of the basil to protect the basil. You want to distribute it evenly. And then we're going to put a little bit of olive oil on top, real quick. So, this is the peel that we're going to use, right? So you can see it's kind of perfect. This is so that any excess flour can also fall off. But it's also metal and it's super thin. It's going to let me get in and out of the oven very quickly. This is a more traditional way of applying olive oil. I prefer the squeeze bottle simply because I have more control. With this, you're kind of at the mercy of gravity and how much is in here. So we have it, we've used it, but I prefer to use a squeeze bottle for sure. So. Okay, so we're going to go on our peel, stretch, and then on our peel, we're going to stretch it again. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know, it's pizza. It can be round-ish. So I'm going to go in. So I switch peels at this point to this smaller peel. It's called a spinning peel. It's smaller, and I go under the pizza with it so that I can easily spin it around. So I start to spin it after a few seconds. When I start to see like just the first dot of browning, I'm going to start spinning it. And I don't stop spinning because I like to give it an even bake. So we're looking at about 60 to 90 seconds maximum. We're going to have a really nice rim. It's called a cornicione in Italian. Okay. We don't want to get it too dark either. We want to have that nice leoparding on the surface. And that is going to only take a few seconds. See, we have this nice inflated rim. We have the nice leoparding right here. And that's all it takes, about 60 seconds. We're done. If we want it to go a little bit darker, we can go back in. Or we can do something else that's called domi, which is we go to the top, where it's a little hotter. And then we can get a little bit more color on our pizza. It's a little hard to adjust your mask while you're trying to bake a pizza, but you do what you gotta do, I guess. So, there you go. It's sort of like really like open rim. This like big rim is kind of like a new thing with Neapolitan pizzas where they're trying to get like a really open rim crust, and so it gives us this like really airy rim crust on our pizza. So I destroyed that, but we're probably going to eat it later. So. Okay, so next we're going to go to our photo studio, and that's this way. It's on the other end of the map.